JD Vance, of course, we told you yesterday was going to be on Rogan. The episode is out. I haven't had a chance to listen to the entire thing, but have heard much of it. We're only going to play a few clips for you here because you do need to hear the whole thing. But we'll share some highlights, one of which was when he was talking about how Kamala is so good at saying nothing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I give a lot of speeches, so there's actually a skill to this. I think that she is the Michael Jordan of using as many words as possible to say as little as possible. Right. There's actually a certain gift that she has because you listen to her talk and you're 100, 200 words into it, you're 500 words into it, and you're like, what the hell did she just say? She didn't say anything.
Right.
And that actually, I mean, okay, so yeah, there's a certain political skill in saying a lot without actually saying anything, but it actually worries me about her being president. Like,
yeah, it should. It should worry. It should worry everybody. Every single person. Because she's vapid. She is a vessel of nothing.
And he also compared how she lies to the same way that toddlers lie. And this was a great little story.
So what's interesting to me about toddlers, and I've talked with Tucker Carlson about this. Toddlers lie in a way that's very different from how everybody else lies, right? So like if you're telling a lie, normally, hey, did you do that thing? You would say, no, somebody else did it, or they kind of qualify it a little bit. Let me give you an example. My 4-year-old, I'm a big baker, probably surprised by that, but I'm a big baker. And my 4-year-old and I are making an Oreo cake a few weeks ago. And my 4-year-old is helping me. He likes to help me out a lot when I bake. And I go to the bathroom, and the Oreos that we're supposed to put in the Oreo cake, like crumble them up and put them in the cake, like half of them are gone when I get back. And I'm like, buddy, what happened to the Oreos? And he looks at me, and without a hint of irony or shame, he says, I didn't eat the Oreos, you did. Right? So that's the way that Kamala Harris lies, is I didn't eat the Oreos, you did. Not only does she actively brag, and has her administration actively bragged about trying to arrest her political opponents, she will go out and say that if Donald Trump is the president, he's going to arrest his political opponents, even though he already was president, and he didn't do that.
Did you see she went on Shannon Sharp and said that he's going to take away your Second Amendment rights?
It's crazy. The person who literally wants to confiscate firearms, Kamala Harris, is saying that Donald Trump wants to take away your Second Amendment rights. Dude, the generation.
It is crazy, isn't it? It's like, it's pure gaslighting and projection that's been their entire campaign. It's nuts. It's completely nuts. That whole interview was so awesome.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts was when he talked about mistakes actually that Reagan had made. And this was super interesting because it's true. I mean, like, now we look back at the 80s as like the greatest time of all time. It really was in so many ways.
Oh my God. In so many ways. Yeah.
But there were mistakes that were made. Primarily, he ruined California, and you'll hear why right here.
Blue forever. The same way they've done California.
Exactly. And we saw this. And look, I'm like a Reagan guy, right? I'm a conservative Republican. But Reagan screwed up a lot. He screwed up mental health in this country. People don't talk nearly enough about that.
The amnesty thing he really screwed up.
The amnesty thing he really screwed up.
Yeah.
And people always say, well, Ronald Reagan, when critics of Donald Trump will say, well, look at how Reagan talked about immigration. Because of what Ronald Reagan did, at the 1986 amnesty, California is now effectively a permanently blue state.
Except when Arnold won.
But Arnold ran as a super moderate Republican. He was a major celebrity, right? He was at the height of his celebrity power, and he still won barely, even though California had been mismanaged. California is a one-party state because of Ronald Reagan's amnesty.
And that's the fear, is that the entire country could become one party.
The entire country becomes that.
Yep.
Now, it also, you may not appreciate this, but even if you don't give people the right to vote, it really distorts congressional apportionment and then the Electoral College. You know how this works?
Yes, I do. But explain it to people, please.
Okay. So how many, we have 435 congressional seats. The way that you draw those congressional districts is that you try to draw them evenly based on population so that everybody has equal representation, right? One person, one vote, fundamental principle of American law. But you don't just count the American citizens. You also count the illegal aliens. And so, for example, the state of Ohio lost a congressional seat in the last census, and states that have high illegal immigrant populations picked up congressional seats. So you're actually taking away congressional representation from American citizens and giving it to illegal aliens, even if you don't give them the right to vote, you're still destroying the voting power of us.
That makes me so mad.
Yeah, it should. It should make everybody mad. He's so good. I love the way that he also, like, and he did it a couple times in the interview. He'd be like, "Do you know what this is?" And Joe Rogan, sometimes he would be like, "No, it's like, or I do, but explain it to the audience."
Mm-hmm.
And Vance has such a really, like, a disarming, he's just so down to earth about explaining things and saying, "Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what this is." And I love
he makes no assumptions and he doesn't condescend.
No, that's exactly, yes. It's exactly how he does it. And I love that about him. And he explains it in a way that, everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what he's saying here. Because he's one of us. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. And I love how Joe, his talent is just getting people to be normal and like real and just have conversations that are interesting.
It's not hard to do that with JD though. I mean, let's face it. I think that he is normal and real. It's not difficult to talk to him. I would love to have him on our show because I think he is just a normal guy,
Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard to talk to him. Kamala is not a normal person. She is a made up figure. Mm-hmm. It would be impossible to sit down and talk to her, and he would have to do it on her terms. This is why she's not going to do it. She will never do the Rogan show because that is what he's all about. He's all about just talking to a human being. And JD Vance is a human being, and Trump is a human being, and Kamala is not.
Yep. JD Vance also talked about just the scourge on the world that wind turbines are.
Oh my God,
they
I hate them.
Destroy the landscape of literally every place that they're installed. Here he is about that.
I think wind is the biggest scam out there. Mm-hmm. It's total bullshit.
It's also pollution. When I see those gigantic wind
tunnels, they're ugly.
Yep. They're gross.
They're ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought this, where were me and my wife? We used to be into road trips before we had a Secret Service detail. And we took a road trip. The good old days, man. We took a road trip through Kansas or Nebraska, or maybe it was Iowa. It was one of the, we went through all three of those states, but I can't remember where. You just go for miles and miles and you see nothing but wind turbines. And it's like, this is beautiful American countryside that used to be green, rolling hills. And now you have these disgusting dystopian wind turbines. I'm sorry. They are ugly. They're gross. Die on this hill. They're ugly. I don't want them in American society.
And
oh my God, I've been saying that for years. I say that all the time because in Texas, they're all over the place in Texas, right? Same thing. You see them. They're like the world of worlds, like machines that are out there. I hate them. And half the time they don't work.
Right.
So they're just sitting there still. And then you see it's like these beautiful farms and ranches. And then all these, like you said, the dystopian machine looking things that don't work. And then there's like cows and stuff strewn about. And that it just, I hate them. And then I'm like, what do you do with them when they quit working? What do you do? They're gigantic. You guys have seen these things. They're
and disposing of them is almost impossible.
Right.
It's total pollution.
And you never see them where senators live. You only see them in places like where I live that are in just gorgeous, like beautiful areas where there are rolling, like he says, ranches and farms that are destroyed and they kill birds. They kill. I hate them.
He also talked about the COVID vax. He is vaccinated and he got the 2-dose kind and has had COVID 5 times, you guys, but he was never so sick as when he got his second shot.
I took the vax and, I haven't been boosted or anything, but the moment where I really started to get red pilled on the whole vax thing was the sickest that I've been in the last 15 years by far was when I took the vaccine. And I've had COVID at this point 5 times. Wow. I was in bed for 2 days. My heart was racing. I was like, the fact that we're not even allowed to talk about that, even, no like serious injury, but even the fact that we're not even allowed to talk about the fact that I was as sick as I've ever been for 2 days. And the worst COVID experience I had was like a sinus infection. I'm not really willing to trade that. And you don't even, everybody that I know, or a lot of people I know, they talk about the second shot that they got of the vaccine that made them really, really sick. Well, that's a side effect, and
Yeah.
not a side effect that we even talk about enough in this country.
No, it's also, again, we're talking about companies that have a long history of lying and being forced to pay criminal fines, and then we're giving them this exemption from being responsible for any of the side effects.
Yeah, and who do you think those big pharma companies donate to politically in 2024? I'll give you a big fat guess.
Probably Kamala Harris.
By a significant margin.
Well,
Yep. Because they'll be protected. If
And they
Kamala,
keep trying to make RFK look like he's an anti-vaxxer psychopath.
yeah.
He is not a psychopath on this issue. He really
No.
isn't.
No, he's not.